So welcome back to
Obrigado.
Portugal. And I was talking to you about 5-6 months ago in Primavera, and how has life changed since then?
Well, it hasn't really. We've just been on the road touring ever since.
Yeah, we've done about 100 shows since then, I think.
That's amazing.
That was the start of summer, wasn't it? So,
Yeah, Primavera.
Yeah, it was in June.
Yeah, so maybe we played 100 shows since then. Maybe more than that.
Yeah, slightly more.
120.
Yeah, but Joy as an Act of Resistance just exploded completely, and the success is obvious, and I'm sure you felt it somehow. That's the point I was trying to reach.
Sorry. Well, luckily we haven't had too much time to focus on the success. I think it's important for us to focus on our craft and get better at playing live and write better songs and just keep improving, because I think part of our improvement is that we sustain a sense of challenge and loving what we do. So we've just played since then. We've been playing every day, maybe 120 shows, and we haven't really had time to sit back and focus on the rise of Joy as an Act of Resistance, or the rise of us. Obviously we can see the size of the rooms getting bigger that we play in, but apart from that, we just focus on our craft and make sure we work hard. So it feels the same really, but we feel smaller as people because we're in bigger rooms.
Really, that's interesting, because at the same time, when you were promoting still brutalism, you already had Joy as an Act of Resistance.
Yeah.
So you already were improving without all this success.
Yeah, I guess. But I guess we knew that because we can see that we love the songs and we're more confident in them. The more we write, the more fluent we become in our own artistic language.
Yes.
And we don't wait for gratification to like the songs. We already love them, and we couldn't wait to play Colossus live, and we couldn't wait to play Never Fight a Man with a Gun, because we knew they were magic, because we feel them, and that's all that's important. That's why when we're on stage, our show is so emphatic and visceral and passionate, is because we've written songs that we love.
Yeah, of course.
And we love each other and we love what we do, and we've always focused on that exchange between our doing and being and the audience. And now I think we've got to a point where we're going to look to challenge that language and how we write to keep it fresh and keep us excited about playing the next album, which we're working on now.
Don't give me those sweet things. But the way this album was written, I can see some different things, especially because it's a bit straightforward, although the poetical style is still there. But I think it's more straightforward, like politically and socially, and all the things you denounce as the traditionalism kind of cloud you have to live under, and the patriarchal society and all those stuff. It's more direct, so it's obviously a political album. I don't think you can escape from that. And one thing I think it's particularly interesting for me as a woman is the way you depict masculinity as a form of men not being able to be vulnerable, or not being able or having to castrate his own humanity just to pursue this kind of society objective of them being so strong and like masculine, macho men, and that being sung by a man, I think it's very powerful.
Yeah, I think first and foremost,
and you do it on I'm sorry, but you do it on a lot of songs in different ways, like Colossus, more like in the kind of father issues maybe and stuff like that. But then on Samaritans and Never Fight a Man with a Perm, you kind of take different ways of talking about this, about talking about overly kind of masculinity.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it comes down to a few things. First and foremost, we appreciate our privilege. We're white, middle class men in a world where most narratives are written through the voice of white middle class men. So we understand that. We can't apologize for that. We can only be mindful and change our behaviors in a way that seeks and proactively changes the narrative to want and make for equal opportunity for all people. We can appreciate our privilege and use it for the benefit of everyone rather than just us. But the album was written around the time where I was in therapy. We were talking a lot about mindfulness and change in a way that changed our cyclical behaviors, and that we sat back and really looked at our actions and what that made us as people. So we looked at vulnerability, and in counselling, in therapy, I realised that I wasn't allowing myself to be vulnerable to my partner and to my friends and my peers and people around me. So that was one of the first steps I took, was to be more vulnerable. And what I realised is that how isolated I felt before that point, that I was so alone because I wasn't allowing myself to be open to criticism or humiliation or abandonment or whatever it is.
So you felt that conflict?
I did, yeah. But when I acted on that and changed my behaviours and became more vulnerable, I learned so much more about myself. I became freer, and I could see myself kind of being freed from the, without sounding too poetic, the shackles of masculinity and what I succumbed myself to for so many years, about keeping quiet about my emotions, putting on a brave face and not changing. What that led to was alcoholism, drug addiction, and violence.
And violence, yeah. Man up, chin up, sit down, don't cry.
Yeah. And I wasn't a good person to myself or other people.
Yeah.
So the album is just a documentation of that change in our lives, where we became better people. And now we're using that as a platform to make other people have those conversations, open conversations, so that they can feel safe to be vulnerable and make changes in their lives, whether that's masculinity or xenophobia.
Yeah.
You know.
Racism, inequality.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you talk about that.
Yeah.
But I have to ask you this, and obviously if you don't want to answer, I'll totally understand. I think a little bit of talking about, I can see it in June, in the song June. Mm-hmm. And what's the lineup of the album that goes from Love Song, which is, I think, one of the most sarcastic lyrics in your... You don't think it's sarcastic?
It's not sarcastic, no. But that's why my partner hates it, because she believes it to be sarcastic, and it's not. But
I think it's great, because it's kind of how you depict modern love and superficiality of love.
Yeah.
Like, I love you, here's a card saying I love you, you know?
Yeah.
That's how I say it's sarcastic. And
but that's me, that's my humour, but that is real love.
But
like, I do buy her cards and I do write those things.
Oh, you do those things?
Yes.
Oh, okay. But
like,
you make fun of, is it a little tongue-in-cheek kind of?
It's both, it's plurality, you know, because some days, you know, I believe in romance and sometimes I don't. And that's the point of the change in our narrative. We want to change the narrative. Make people feel uneasy, because there's a plurality to all those things. Love isn't, you know, I will die for you every day. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to kill them.
And can we talk a little bit about Great? I think the song is very funny about the Brexit. Just tell me a little bit how you get it, because you have a lot of hooks that are really kind of catchy in this album, which can lead us to sing along and to sing along to very important stuff, which is really great. Can you tell me a little bit about, especially how you feel? I really want to know how you feel because you're British and because you're in a crucial time in England, and you talk about Brexit and Brexit, and you talk about your friend Danny Nedelko. I love that song. It's a very catchy song, and it has a very powerful lines about, he's made of flesh, he's made of bones, made of me, he's made of you, unity. So tell us a little bit about how do you perceive these times, because I think it's going to be worse, and I think everyone, I'm sorry to be speaking so much, but I think everyone just wants to find like a common enemy. They don't want answers, people just want to find an enemy, and so their problems are all solved. If you just take those people out of society, our lives are going to be better, and everything is going to be fine, and no one wants to go to the bottom of the issue, and no one wants to know the truth, and no one wants to know they are part of the problem, and they are to be blamed too, I'm sorry, I just made a speech.
It's good.
Sorry.
I'm behind you.
Because that kind of like really pisses me off.
Well, yeah, and I can understand it. It must, because Portugal has gone, and Spain as well, and Greece have gone through economic turmoil. Not worse than Britain, but Britain isn't far behind it. So you'll know just as well as we will that economic turmoil panics people. Panic has just manifested into people making rash decisions on subjects they don't know enough about. That's basically, they've been lied to, or they just didn't know, and they just decided to leave the EU because they're scared of Brown.
Do you think they were lied to?
Yes,
or they wanted to accept the lie?
There was a big fucking lie printed on the side of a bus that promised 352 million.
300 billion.
Billion, yeah.
It has to be billion.
352 million, not much.
Not much.
It just sounds a lot when you say out
Yeah.
loud. 352 billion pounds was going to be put back into the NHS if Brexit came through, and obviously.
But then you ask how.
Well, yeah,
How?
it's there.
Yeah,
but
no one asks that. That's my point.
They do though, because it's there. The money is there. It's there. It's there now. They don't. But it's being, the NHS is being sold off piece by piece, separately, quietly, without the public's knowledge. But you can find that knowledge. You just speak to the junior doctors, or the doctors, or the surgeons, or the nurses. Just read a newsletter. But
it's more the austerity is the worst thing for the National Health Service. It's the fact that funding for these things is going down, and actually the response to I feel like you're holding my microphone. The response to the economic turmoil that Joe referenced to, the initial response was one of austerity, and they fucked that up really badly. They made it awful for everyone, and everything around us is collapsing. And their response to that was then to create Brexit, because Brexit was going to solve all these monetary woes, and Brexit was going to solve, the perceived issues about an immigration crisis, and the perceived issues about jobs, and perceived issues about housing. Whereas actually what they need to do is just spend more money on housing, spend more money on creating jobs, creating industry, keeping a big thing in the UK was about the metalworks and stuff like that, and they're just shifting jobs elsewhere, and it's about creating those jobs, creating the industry, rather than creating a problem and creating a mythological creature that has caused the problem, be that the EU, be that immigration, be that the policies that are put in place by the EU, and seeing that as the problem. They've created those as a monster, as a problem, rather than the actual initial response to the financial crisis, which was austerity, which they still haven't tracked back on, because they can't track back on it, because they were in power when they decided austerity, and so they're still in power, so they'll lose power if they say they were wrong. They've been wrong twice now, so stop.
More than twice, my man.
Yeah. Because power and money and greed are the main things. And if you separate people, it's easily it's easier to control them.
Absolutely.
Divide and conquer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep middle class
But-
people comfortable and make poor people poor. That's it.
Yeah.
Prevent people from moving around within social strata so that they can go, you know, whenever I was poor, it was really shit. Can we make things better for the poor? That if you keep poor people poor, make middle class people comfortable and apathetic, then the
Yeah.
people that have lots of money and have lots of power
They're safe.
Can be safe and happy.
Yeah.
And like neoliberalism obviously expanded the amount of middle class people that were there. So suddenly you had way more people comfortable, but with that also the size of the working classes.
Just-
And it's just a really bizarre time.
It is.
Where-
And the rise of nationalism all over Europe, it's something that kind of frightens
Yeah.
me in a way that...
But I mean, I don't think it'll ever, because of the Second World War, I don't think in Western Europe
It will happen again.
fascism will rise that much. Nationalism can rise, you know, it's risen in Spain and Italy to worrying levels before this.
Yeah.
And in France.
And in France.
Yeah.
In France with...
But,
yeah.
you know, like,
With Le Pen.
it's just, it's fluctuations of greed and fear. And I think it just won't ever get to a point where enough people will turn their back on empathy. It's just, I don't know, but that's just me being optimistic. But all we can do is live a respectful life and vote for the right people and not be horrid bastards.
I feel like for a long time those kind of like extreme right, far right ideas, they kind of got clever and kind of subsumed themselves into centrist politics, and kind of, you know, ideas like Brexit and stuff like that could come around.
Because that has an immediate effect.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that with Brexit, the kind of the mask is coming off, and we can see those people for what they really were, and we can see that this knee-jerk reaction response that is Brexit, or that stuff doesn't work, and we can see that if you don't think about something before you do it, you're just going to end up with an absolute shitstorm, which is what we've got with Brexit. Like, no one knows what they're doing at all. People didn't even know what exactly they wanted out of it.
Yeah, they just wanted change.
Yeah. So it's.
I think what Bowen and I talked about when the coalition happened in Britain, what, 10 years ago? Coalition, when the Liberal Democrats and Conservative Party shook hands.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, this is great, because we're going to start to see implementation of right-wing policies coming in, and the poor will get pissed off with that, and then we'll get a Labour government again.
Yeah.
And then obviously that was really naive. But I think with this time round, the third or fourth time round, so I guess with
It's
with
a
Brexit,
charm,
it's the
you think?
Fourth time's the charm. I think people will start to realise. I think
The
they'll-
flaw in our idea.
I think we've realised that we're just fucking idiots. But no, I think there's only so much you can take away from the British public who are poor before they realise the Tories don't care about the poor. They don't. They have no compassion whatsoever in their policies. They're just greedy maniacs. It's weird.
I think with the cyclical nature of things, you know, if you look at the rise of populism back in the early 20th century, it created a lot of catastrophe and therefore a lot of revolution, and unfortunately there was a big war. But after that, people then started to, you know, think in more, you know, progressive, more slow building terms with regards to their economics, with regards to the you know, social services in the country, with regards to building the idea of a state that works for the people, by the people,
And in the United Nations.
yeah, stuff like that happened. And I think that we're in this period of flux, and it's crap, but I think through that there comes a lot of opportunity.
I think it's a wave,
Yeah.
you know, of ups and downs. And when because you had the 2008 crisis, and it was the same thing. And no one ever learns with it. If there's a banker that's going to say, we're going to win a lot of money, they don't care if the bubble is going to burst a few years after. They're not going to happen anything to them. In 2008, there was only one guy who's like the director of a Swiss bank. He was no one. He's the only guy who's arrested until today. So nothing's going to happen. We had the same thing here.
Society.
That's because that's not really a crisis. That's not a real crisis.
The 2008 crisis?
That's not.
That's a crisis because it's the people has to pay with their taxes.
Yeah, but that's not a crisis in the sense where.
Like socially, too?
I just think that it has to be a real state of unrest. Obviously, don't get me wrong, there were people that lost their jobs and their lives were ruined because of the crash, the second crash as well. Like, I get that, but that the middle classes were still apathetic and
Okay, I understand what you're saying because the society it just keeps turning if the middle class is okay. So unless we kind of affect the middle class, that's when someone's gonna do something about it.
That's for sure. It's not. Come on.
Okay, we'll have to end it. I'm sorry, we just started talking about everything. I just want to say I love the end of the album, Rottweiler. It's just an amazing song to end the album. It's just really animalistic and it's really powerful. And maybe it's just a little bit of what's going to happen next, like a bridge to what's coming.
Why not?
You do?
Yeah.
I mean, they're all potential bridges. Vera. But it is a dog-themed album. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
The third album is dog-themed. There's a track called Woof Woof. Where's My Bone is another
Oh my god. That's
No, I'm joking. No, we don't have to finish right away if you've got...
Well, you do have the t-shirts already, so...
Oh, the dog
The dog.
Yeah, I mean, we're not respectable artists in any sense of the word, so that is potentially a possibility,
Yeah. And John is not here, but I want to...
John the drummer.
Yeah, I think he did an amazing job. I love him so much. And he won Best Drummer, second place.
He was beaten by
first place. That's ridiculous. That's just
He
because...
was beaten by a man who
Roger
has
Taylor.
not created any new music in the last like 15 years.
Yeah, but they have the new movie and they have the exploring Freddie Mercury in just a disgusting way. I don't care. And so he had to be number one just because of, you know...
He's got more fans.
Get more fans and it's just a hype now.
He's probably a better drummer than John, though, right?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I love what John did in this album. I think it's a little bit like to that kind of pressure of the kind of Swans kind of thing, and I really love him because I really love Phil Puglio. So I love John. Tell him I love John.
I 100% will. He's definitely the most talented member of the band. That's a fact, and we really appreciate what he's done, which is hold back. Because he wants to do a lot more, and we don't want him to.
It's very difficult for a drummer.
Yeah,
so
well,
it's
it's
really cool.
difficult for anyone to not really, you know,
Show off.
He wants to
Show off,
Show off's kind of a derogatory way of saying really show people your full potential.
That's true.
Yeah.
But
But sometimes your true potential is exactly that, knowing how to stop and know what's needed for the song and what's needed for.
always for the song.
So, thank you so much.
Obrigado.
It was lovely to talk to you again.
So stupid.